You have made it to Peru's most famous destination and a main symbol of the Incas, the ancient city of Machu Picchu. The city is located high up in the mountains, 2,450 meters above sea level, between the two mountain peaks, Huayana Picchu and Machu Picchu. The former means young mountain, and the latter, which has given the name to the city, means ancient mountain. The remarkable ruins of the city were rediscovered in 1911 by the American archaeologist and professor Hiram Bingham. Even though it's debated whether or not he was the first foreigner to visit Machu Picchu, Bingham was the one who brought Machu Picchu to the outside world. Today, Machu Picchu is visited by more than 100,000 people each year. The remains of this ancient city is considered one of the world's true wonders, as it has been voted into the official The 7 Wonders of the World list. The lost city of the Incas, as it is often called, is not as old as many people think. The city was constructed by the Incas around 1430 AD, but to what purpose is unknown. Some believe that the city was constructed simply as a recreation place for the Incan Emperor Pachacuti and other important Incas. Another theory is that it was used as a retreat, hence the hidden location high up in the mountains. Others still say it was used as a temple to the gods and as a hub between other sacred Inca sites. Machu Picchu is made up of 2 main areas, the agricultural area and the urban area. The agricultural areas is made up of the terraces that are so typical for Machu Picchu. These terraces were used to grow the crops needed to feed the inhabitants of the city. There was more than enough space to grow crops to feed the maximum number of inhabitants in the city. Even though it might seem unpractical to grow crops high up in the mountains, it was actually not that hard. One thing that made this possible was that the crops did not need any irrigation due to the constant rains and ever-present humidity. Another purpose of the terrace was also to help reduce the risk of erosion caused by the rain. The urban part of the city is made up of temples, palaces, storehouses, workshops, stairways, and living quarters. The architectural design was based on the capital of the Incan Empire, Cusco. The constructions throughout the city follow the natural curves of the land, which makes the city and its surrounding blend so magically well together. The Incas' architectural skills, and their masonry in particular, is something truly amazing. On all but the least important buildings, the Incas did not use any mortar when constructing the houses or temples. This allowed the stones to move slightly, which made it more resistant to earthquakes. However, this also required much more skills from the masons, as the stones needed to be shaped to fit each other more precisely. Some junctions in the central city are so perfect that not even a straw of grass fits between the stones. Regardless of its main purpose, it is known that Machu Picchu served as a shrine to the gods and as a place of worship to the mountains surrounding it. Through the urban part of the city, replica stones can be found. These stones have been shaped to match the mountains behind them, which show the Incas' devotion to the mountains and the mountain god Apu. Another key place in Machu Picchu, located on one of the northeast hills, is the Intihuatana stone, in the native language Quechua. Inti means sun and Huata, year. This describes one of the specific functions of the stone. Researchers believe that the Incas used it as an astronomic clock or calendar, by looking at the movement of the shadows cast by the stone during the sunlight. The stone was also believed to serve as an altar and shrine to the gods. To many researchers' surprise, Machu Picchu seems to have been abandoned by the Incas only 100 years after its construction. There is clear evidence that the Spanish never found Machu Picchu, which indicates that the city was abandoned before the Spanish conquest of the Incan Empire. Why they abandoned the city is still very much unknown. Theories suggest disease, such as smallpox, killed much of its population, which made the city too hard and expensive to maintain. Others suggest that they abandoned the city in order to please the gods after the death of the Incan leader Pachacuti. As the Incas did not write anything down for the afterworld, much is still unknown about the Incan Empire in general, and Machu Picchu in particular. What the true purpose of the city was, how they lived, and why it eventually was abandoned, will forever, just like Machu Picchu itself, be covered in clouds of mystery.